Welcome to everybody that's joining us now in the Facebook DSN Wellness Club group. I'm honored and happy and thankful to have something to do and to teach more and to give back to the community in a different way versus through what I've done. I love being able to collaborate with other nonprofits and to teach. And when you are a teacher, it can be really kind of nerve-wracking if you love it, and you can get rusty. So I love the opportunity to be able to teach because I haven't been doing so much, and I've been kind of forcing myself to do it more. And especially since I finished my restorative exercise specialist certification, which was almost 2 years ago now. And I love incorporating both gentle yoga and restorative exercise, especially for our community. So I won't go into too much of the instruction piece on that and why, but if there's questions afterwards, we can handle that. We're going to keep it to just a gentle, short, 20-minute chair yoga. You can be seated on a step like I'm going to be. If you have a medicine ball, which provides seating, but a little bit more instability so your muscles work. You can also sit in a squat, which I'll show you if you're comfortable doing so. You can sit on your couch. You can lay on your couch. You can lay down for all I care, as long as you're comfortable. And I will give and provide this space for you all, but you all have to also do your due diligence to make sure that you are comfortable, that you've silenced kind of any distractions that might impede on your time, and that you know your body best. I don't know everybody and I can't see everybody, and I don't know everybody's issues, and we don't have obviously time to do that. So with the disclaimer is, you know your body best. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, providing modifications, but if I don't provide something that's not appropriate for you and it doesn't feel comfortable, don't do it. If you need 20 minutes just to lay on the floor in Shavasana or on your bed and to be quiet, that's more than fine and awesome and what's needed for today. So meet your body where you are feeling today. Everything is cool with me. There are some days where showering is a challenge, and I shared that on the EDS Wellness page today. So some days this is about as all we can do, and some days we can just do arm circles in bed, but something is better than nothing. So we're gonna start here. So if you guys like it, you wanna do more, where we can tailor it, make it harder, make it longer, make it less, make it just 5 minutes like I used to do on EDS Wellness moving forward or in the future. But so wherever you are, and I believe, I'm just gonna double check that I've muted everybody. I just want you to get yourself comfortable on your chosen seat, and I want you to make sure that you are just starting to focus on giving yourself these few moments and minutes to just find calmness and stillness. And when people would teach like that, it sounded so jargonish to me. But the truth is that, especially in the world that we're dealing with, being still and learning how to quiet our minds is a tool. It's a resource, and it's hard for many of us for so many reasons, especially in our world that we're not used to this. But learning how to do so, even for just a few minutes a day, quietly in your bathroom, if you have to escape, that's the only place you can go, is so critical for our overall health and well-being, but also when you're dealing with autonomic dysfunction. So the one thing that calming the mind and finding stillness even for a few minutes does is it directly acts on the autonomic nervous system and helps calm, and also helps increase our mind-body connection and proprioception if we're moving. And it also helps send messages to our body that we're safe, that we're okay, that we're in control, that we don't feel so out of control, that a lot of the messages that we've received in the world about, we're unstable, we're broken, we don't know what's wrong, there's no answers, we can't find anything wrong with you, it's in your head, is not. We are here, you are safe in your space, and you trust your body in this moment, and you know your body best, and you know how to gain control, because that's the biggest self-efficacy tool that we have available to us, especially right now. And when you're going through any kind of trauma, life trauma, illness trauma. And it's amazing what that does in terms of just both strengthening your mind and body and your ability to move more and move better, but also just your overall way your body handles issues. for example, your mast cells. It helps control the mast cells too. So with that being said, I want to make sure that you guys are seated, and that wherever you are seated, if you are sitting upright can be work. And so I just want to make sure that you are mindful of your back. How's your back feeling? That you are seating on maybe a cushion or maybe a blanket or towel if needed, that your feet are firmly on the ground, planted. If you're barefoot like me, feeling the ground is great. So if you have shoes on, you want to make sure that you can really feel the rooting and the grounding and the stability of wherever you're sitting through your feet and through your tailbone, that you feel safe to move in this seated position. And you also want to be mindful that you're not feeling pain. Is your back swaying too much? Or are you hunched like that? That will end up causing instability in the long run and pulling from other muscles elsewhere and not being so great when you're sitting upright. So you want to find that kind of sweet spot where, you're not hyperextending, but you're also not pulling like this and hunching over just to hold yourself up. And if that's the case, then we need to modify, and I can work with you personally, but maybe just find another position or a chair that has a back to help you. You also want to make sure your feet are on the ground, like I said, but that your knees are over your ankles in a 90 degrees. So if I'm sitting like this, even if my legs are like this, I want your knees over your ankles. And I want you to be a little bit more forward on your seat. That allows you to move. It also allows you to feel more of your tailbone, your positioning, your back, and also allows you to have a better position of your knees and your ankles. So again, you don't want to have any kind of, like this, right angle. And we're just going to drift our eyes closed if they're already not closed. And I'm going to give everybody just a few moments to just quiet your mind again. And just bring your awareness to just this moment, how you're breathing, how you're feeling. No matter if it's good or bad, it's okay. We all have those moments. And sometimes when we fight against it, it doesn't allow us to process it best. So you're welcome to keep your thoughts there and just be mindful of your breath, but keep your hands on your knees if you need to. You can put them to the side. You can cross them if you want, however you are most comfortable. Maybe focusing on something that you're grateful for today, even if today was really hard, or this week's really hard, or this month's really hard, or this year's been really hard. But finding something to be grateful for each day, even just the sunset or the fact that we moved and have 2 acres, is something I never thought I'd be so grateful for. Or my lanterns. Right here. So focus on whatever you're thankful for. You can also, if you practice yoga more, you can maybe have a motto or a mantra that you say to yourself. Positive affirmations are always great. And then as you're comfortable, I want you to kind of just pick up your hands wherever they are, and I just want you to roll around your wrists so you can keep your eyes closed. Just give some opening and closing of your palms. Just roll around your wrists. Try to start bringing some gentle stretching within proper range of motion to our hands and our wrists and our forearms that are arguably been really not so moving in the best way lately, especially because we're all so online. So just opening and closing and noticing what you're feeling. Rolling around your wrists. And if you are comfortable, you can take a maybe deeper stretch, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So if you hyperextend, I want you to just let your arm be straight as you're comfortable, not too far above your shoulder, but just down. And I just want you to kind of just gently press on your hand like this. Not too much, just see what that feels like. So you go from here to just here, gently, right? And then try it on the other side. I'm gonna let somebody in while you guys are doing that. So arm extended wherever you're comfortable. You can keep it down if you need to. And then just kind of just gently press the hand back. You're not pressing or hyperextending the fingers. You're just going like that. All right? Let me see if there's somebody that needs to be let in. And then if that's uncomfortable or doesn't feel good, then just roll around your wrists again. Open and close your palms. My husband the other night massaged the palm of my thumb because I was having a terrible flare of brachial plexitis in my shoulders. And I remember thinking, what are you doing? But let me tell you, that was the most painful massage. I didn't realize how contracted my hands were. And, you know, if our hands are so contracted and the fascia isn't stretched naturally and can't, and it's just like this, it goes way up our shoulders and our arm to our neck. So it's amazing how really connected our bodies are, and how little things like the contraction of your hands can link to something like your neck and your shoulders. So just gentle arm stretches are great. And then you can put your hands back down to your knees, maybe lift and lower your ankles, your heels. It's a great exercise for dysautonomia. Sitting or standing, or when you're waiting in line when you can go back to the grocery store. And then maybe lift up one ankle and then the next. And then another one, and then back to the left. And I want you to lift up your right leg and then put it down. And then lift your left leg and then put it down. Lift it again if you can, if that's comfortable, and then put it down. And then lift it again and put it down. And if that's too much for you, then I don't want you to do the next part, but you're welcome to do anything that you feel is comfortable. I want you to lift your right leg again, and now I want you to extend your right leg. And then bring it back slowly and down. Lift the left, extend, bring it back and down. If you're welcome to, let's try it one more time. Lift it up, extend, bring it back and down. Lift it up, extend, bring it back and down. And then maybe take your arms to the side and just kind of roll out your shoulders. Did you notice that when you were doing that, where did you feel it? Did you feel your hip flexors working? Did they suddenly just start spasming because you're in hip flexion a lot? Did your quad start shaking? Or did you notice that you're pulling like in your shoulders just to be able to do that? Ultimately, that's not what we want. So we can always modify, because we want to teach our bodies how to use the appropriate muscles and stabilize so that we're not pulling from our neck and other areas that we shouldn't be, just to do something like this. We're all at different levels, so meet your body where you are. But give yourself a couple shoulder rolls, back, and then forward. And then back again. And one more time forward. And then I want you to take your hands. I actually really like this. I want you to place your hands on the top of your shoulders. And I want you to bring your shoulder rolls bigger if you can and if you're comfortable. Make them bigger. What do you notice? You notice that you're more uncomfortable or comfortable? Can you do it forward? Do you feel cracking in one shoulder? Is it painful? Do you need to modify and make your shoulders, your circles smaller, or maybe not as wide? Or you need to put your hands down. Learning how to move and what works for you is the best thing that all of us can do. All right, let's open and close our hands again. And for the sake of just learning, I want you to take your right hand and I want you to place it over your left thumb as if you're going to grab a joystick. So you're really grabbing the entire palm, like bottom palm and the thumb. And I just want you to grab it like a joystick. And I just want you to, you're not hyperextending, because I know a lot of us have thumbs that have issues. I just want you to kind of just gently hold the thumb as one unit with the bottom of the palm, and just kind of gently stretch it back. And I'm going to show it to you a little bit closer. Here's my hand, and I'm grabbing it, and I'm just 10 degrees, 5 degrees, and then shake it out. Let's do it on the other side. Hand, try to stretch it, grab it like a joystick, like that. How's that feel? That can be really intense. And if it is too intense, don't do it. But this is actually a great stretch to eventually work up to, and is great for all of us on our virtual machines right now. All right, so going back to seating, we've worked out our hands, our wrists, our shoulders. We've done some ankle stuff. We've done some quads. I want you just to gently tilt your head, your neck to the right if you can. And then bring it back to neutral, keeping your eyes closed if you wish. And then tilting to the left gently. And then bringing it back. And tilting again to the right. And I want you to take your left arm and I just want you to place it a little bit extended to the side, if it's comfortable, feeling the stretch just a little bit more. I don't want you to bend super far if you can't really feel anything. The point is not always to feel. We can talk about that later. Bring it back up to neutral. Bend to the left. Reach it over to the right. And bring it back up. And then let's do it again on the other side, each side. And I want to show you another modification that brings a different stretch in. So just bend to the right. Extend your left arm. And I want you to just gently tilt your head, like looking up to the sky, like, ah. And then back to where you were. And then to neutral. Extend to the left. Right arm. Can you tilt up? Sky. Not uncomfortable. Bring it back. And then neutral. And roll out your shoulders again. And then maybe just adjust your seating. Get a little comfortable, move around if you need to. Roll around your ankles. I'm going to check the time. Around your ankles. Maybe point and flex your foot if you can. Either seated or stand. If you can extend your foot a little bit. Bring some motion into those ankles and the feet that also don't get enough stretching. If you would like, you can actually bend over if you can, and just bring up your toes a little bit. Stretch your toes if it's comfortable, and if you can bend over safely, and then bring them down. Maybe try to do it by themselves. Can you lift up your big toe, and then your other toe, with keeping your heels on the ground, and then put it down. Try again. Lift up big toe, other toe, like a fan, put it down. And then do a couple of heel pumps. And then let's take our arms to the side. You can close your eyes, keep your shoulders back and down. Be mindful of your spine, your neck, your head, and whatever may not feel comfortable for you, and modify as needed. And I want you just to slowly inhale, arms up together. And then exhale down. Just regular breathing. Then we're going to inhale, arms up again. And then exhale down. We're going to do it again. And I want you to take a deeper breath. Really try to feel it through your ribcage. Inhale, arms up. And lift up through there and really deep breathe as far as you can. Try to hold it maybe if you can for a minute. If you're comfortable, where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your rib cage? Do you feel your rib cage expanding more from the front and the sides and the back? Are you uncomfortable holding your arms up? If you are, put them down. But if you are, just keep them up there, and then let's exhale down. Do it again. Inhale, deep breath up. And now I want you to interlace your hands, and I want you just to kind of do a really good morning stretch. If you can see me standing, I'm gonna let somebody in. Give me 1 second. I want you to do a good morning stretch, maybe rocking to the side and side if you can comfortably within your range of motion. So you're in a good morning stretch, and you can kind of just go to the side. And then another side. I don't want you to tilt too much. The point is not to tilt all the way over just because you can. I really want you to be mindful of your core and control it. You're bending kind of just right there, and then back over. And then bring your arms down. Maybe roll out your hands again. And then I want you to inhale, or put your shoulders down, back and down. We're gonna inhale, arms up again. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna exhale, we're gonna rotate slightly to the right. And then inhale up. And then exhale down. And then we're gonna inhale again, arms up, rotating to the left this time. Exhale down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale down. And we're gonna do that again, but we're actually gonna flow and go back and forth through the as you are breathing with the rotation safely. So we're gonna inhale, arms up. Exhale to the right. Inhale, arms up. Rotate to the center. And exhale down to the left. It could even be just a slight rotation. Inhale, arms up. Exhale back to the right safely, maybe taking your left hand and putting it on the outside of your right knee for placement. Inhale, arms up. Exhale over to the left last time. Be mindful of your neck and keeping everything rotating as one unit. Inhale, arms up. And then exhale down. Pull out your shoulders. We're gonna do one more inhale and exhale with our arms and stretching side to side. And then we're actually gonna stand up for a few minutes before we kind of bring it back down for the remainder of the class, which is not very long. But what we're gonna do next is too intense for you, or you're not comfortable, you don't feel stable wherever you're sitting, then don't do it. You can watch it and we can learn to modify. So I want you to, welcome to close your eyes again. Make sure your feet are comfortable, maybe, pumps, arm circles or wrist, arm circles. It's a long day. Ankle circles, point and flex your toes. Arms, shoulders back and down. Take your hands and I want you to place them on the front of your knees. And we're gonna do a modified cat-cow. I'm gonna do this from the side so you guys can see it. So we're here. So instead of on our fours, see it? We're just gonna modify. So I want you to here. I want you to still making sure you're mindful of your back. And I want you to inhale, arch up using your hands to help brace yourself. And then exhale forward. Inhale. Exhale back. Inhale forward. And just hold it there for a minute. And I invite you, if you are comfortable, to just let your neck and your head hang. If you're comfortable, just let it release. We're so used to trying to restrict motion, but sometimes we need to help release all the tension in the fascia and the connective tissue in the back of our necks that is not often stretched or let just to release. And what that does is it helps release the connective tissue that links from the top of our head down to our tailbone, especially when we're in quadruped. And then you can come back to center. And then I want you to take your shoulders back and down, arms to the side. We're gonna inhale, arms up. I added that because that was a good one. And then we're gonna exhale, kind of bending, taking the left arm and the right arm up. We're just gonna kind of reach over to the side. And if you need to brace yourself or support yourself, that's perfectly fine. But if you're comfortable and strong enough in your core, you can bend a little bit to hold yourself up this way, not bending too far. And then bring it back down. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, arms up. Taking the left hand arm up, extending the right arm down, bending slightly to the side. Breathing through that stretch. And then bringing it back down to neutral. Rolling anything out, taking any movements you need. And I would like you to meet me standing, but supported. If you need to hold on to a chair or a wall, I welcome you to do that. We're gonna do a few things standing and then just bring it back down seated because I think I'm over my time or just about. So we're just gonna stand. We're gonna do a quick couple stretches. I wanna show you how to stretch using the chair. So if you're holding on, I think you can see me from here. You're seeing what you can. So this is my chair, even though it's a little unstable. I want you to hold on. You can either hold on here or hold on to a wall. And I want you to take your right leg, or you can actually maybe stand with your inside leg, taking your outside leg and placing it on the chair. Be mindful of hyperextension. And I want you just to bend forward, tilting at the pelvis, not at the back. Again, just the pelvis and a hip hinge. And not going over so far just because you can. I actually want you just to stop right here. And if you can kind of just bring up your toes a little bit in flexion. You don't even have to use your hands, and then point them. And then bring them up. And then down. Making sure you're how's your stable standing leg feeling? And then you shake it out, bring your other leg down, bring it out, shake it out. That can be pretty intense. Let's bring it to the other side. Positioning yourself, holding onto the wall or the chair. Standing on your inside leg or outside leg, however you are most comfortable. Raise the other leg that you didn't stretch before. I want you to place it on the chair. Place your hand on your hip. That actually helps you understand the hip hinge. I just want you to forward. Can you bring up your toes a little bit? And then bring it back. And then maybe just tilt forward again. And then bring it back. And then shake it out. Here's another good one. Quadricep stretch properly. Holding onto a wall. You can also do this laying down or seated supported, but I'm going to show you standing. So a lot of people do quadricep steps, and the way they take their leg and they're pulling on their toes and they're like this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to hold on and we're going to grab right at our ankle joint, because we don't want to pull on the tendons and the ligaments in our toes, right? Which ends up pulling on our ankles. So you want to hold right here, and you actually want to stop right here. None of this, none of this. We're just stopping. Your knees should actually be parallel. And that's, if you can't feel it, like I really don't feel it, many of us don't, but you don't want to keep pushing to feel it. But this is an appropriate biomechanical quadricep stretch. And especially when you're not pulling on the ligaments or joints to do it. Let's try it on the other side, shake it out. And if you want to know how to do it seated, I'm happy to share with you afterwards. So again, brace yourself, pick up your leg, grab at the ankle joint or on the bottom of the shin, and keeping your knees parallel. And then bring it down. Shake it out. And then come back to a seated position. I could teach all day long. And I just want you to go back to that comfortable position that you were in, or in the last few minutes of class. And I want to bring it back down and bring back to a presence of stillness and mindfulness, in addition to a couple other stretches that are really good if you would like to do them with me. So finding the position that works for you, taking any movements that you need. What I would like you or welcome you to do is actually just try to open up your legs a little bit. So it's kind of like you are in a plie, but you're supported, right? So you might feel a little bit more in the inner legs, but hopefully it's not too intense. And hopefully you still have your knee over your ankle and you're comfortable. And I just want you to feel this position. How does that feel? If you're comfortable, I welcome you just to kind of fold forward a little bit more. You don't have to go all the way, because remember, for many of us that have hypermobility in our backs, folding forward all the way is easier than actually trying to hold ourselves up and use our back muscles, or not use our back muscles to support ourselves. We want to use our legs. So this is what it looks like from that side. If I'm like this and I've got my hands and I'm bending forward, I'm just touching right here. I'm not like this, I'm like this. That's more work for me versus this. And then you can just bring it back up. And then go back down. And if you want to go forward and you feel comfortable and you can hold yourself, I welcome you to go forward into a little bit more of a deeper stretch, and just to release the lower back, if you can safely, maybe bringing the arms together and just hanging in a modified ragdoll. And you can swing side to side. You might feel intensity in your hip flexors. If you do, I want you to back up. Just hang. And then come back up. And then maybe take one leg to the side, right leg, keeping this one bent. You can keep it like this, or you can move it however is best comfortable for you. And I just want you to extend it a little bit. If you need, I actually have natural support right here, so I'm not hyperextending, but if you need to put support or if you need to modify so you're comfortable, please do so. I want you to take your right hand and just extend it down the leg, again safely, just bringing over that left arm. And then coming back to center, slowly, safely. Let's do it on the other side. Extending the left leg, supporting yourself, taking the left arm, reaching just slowly down, reach up the right arm. And then bring it back to the center, slowly. Do a couple more shoulder rolls. In our last 2 minutes, our Shavasana. But if you're seated, you can either lie down. If you would like to lay down, you're welcome to do so too. And once you've found your position, your final resting position for the class, I want you to take any other final movements. I always welcome anything that you feel that you need during my class. I move all the time. And I think a lot of times we wait for permission to move, and sometimes we're just not really, we need to move as our body needs, and it feels really good. And when you have that permission for yourself to just move as needed and do what you feel is good, even within a range of motion or something that's not really instructed, it just helps you understand your body, how you're feeling, and your needs even more. And then place your hands, if you're laying down, palms facing up so that the thumbs are out to the side, so it releases the ligament in the shoulder so it can relax. They're on your lap, just place them here. And just slightly close your eyes. Focusing on your breath, just to bring your awareness back to the mind-body connection and stillness before you continue to life's chaos. Maybe taking your breath deeper as you're comfortable, really feeling the expansion throughout your rib cage, feeling your diaphragm opening up and your rib cage really expanding forward and to the side and to the back. And then start bringing movement back to your fingers and toes and your wrists. And I forgot the one exercise somebody requested. So we're going to end class. And for those that would like to continue to do this one exercise, you're welcome to do it with us. Bring movement back to your fingers and toes. Maybe do a few shoulder rolls. Open your eyes or keep them closed. Change your leg position. Whatever you need to do. Arms back and down. If you were lying down, I would encourage you to sit back up, or you can just stay seated or lying down. But if you are seated, sitting up, arms back and down to the side. I want you to inhale, arms up. Big inhale, arms up, maybe one last stretch, because it always feels so good. And then take your hands together and bring them to heart center. And thank you for joining me and for dealing with my learning of how to teach outside and what I needed. I've been wanting to do this for so long, so thank you. And I really enjoyed this. Please give me any feedback. I'm gonna unmute everybody in just 1 second. But for those that would like to do this one stretch that I didn't incorporate, that I was asked, you're welcome to stay in the seated position and take your right leg and take your ankle and just place it over your left knee. It's a figure 4 stretch. Now this can be really intense for some people. There are ways to modify. You can actually kind of go like this. So it's not such an intense stretch, but if you're here, I just want you to be here. Still be mindful of your knee and ankle alignment. And I want you to take your hands, place them like this, and see how that feels, and just breathe into it. And if you are comfortable and can do it safely, I welcome you to do the hip hinge forward. Not going as far as you can just because you can, or hunching in your back, just holding it right here, just a little bit forward. And then bringing it back. This is on the other side. Bring your left leg up, cross it over your right knee. Maybe giving your feet some love because they need it. Placing your hands on your ankle and your inside of your knee. And then just slowly hinging forward. And then bringing it back. Do it again if you would like to, or you can just try it this way. See how this feels. You can also do this if you're seated. Seated, I can't do this. A lot of different modifications. And then bring it down. And then roll out your ankles. I'm gonna and hit wrists. I keep confusing those. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, so the hand stretch is a restorative exercise type of exercise, and it's great. That's a great question. It's somewhat both, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can show it to you guys a little bit. The biggest thing is, here's the biggest thing, is that you really want to make sure that you are not just moving this, right? You're not just grabbing and pulling your thumb back, okay? Like, it's really like a joystick, and you're not pulling, I don't like that word. You are grabbing, holding, and stabilizing your thumb joint as a unit and where it connects to the palm, okay? So I don't know, let me try to see if, so imagine your hand back a little bit further from, you're almost moving this part back that makes sense. It's not just the thumb joint. It's actually this part. But essentially, I just wanted you to get the idea that you're this part of the fascia connective tissue on the palm of your hand. You really have to grab it as a unit to go through it. I have to. The whole proprioception hypermobility thing is can be challenging because it's new, it's different, and you want to do it safely. And to understand it takes you to grab the stick shift, and you're moving the whole unit versus just the top of it.
Yeah.
You can't really move the top of it, but imagine like if you're driving a stick shift and you have to grab, it has to come from the bottom, not just the top.
Now I'm grabbing it. And
you're not used to stretching.
No.
I'm telling you. But when Brian was like just touching the bottom of my hands the other night, I lost my mind. And he wasn't even really meaning to do it to help me. It was just, he was just trying to help me calm me, but it was so incredibly painful in a very surprising way. And it just made me realize, oh my gosh, this is why learning how to release the fascia and connective tissue on your hands and even your forearms is so important, because when you don't, guess what it does? It goes
Mine are always on.
Joystick. You're moving the entire unit, not just the thumb joint, and you're trying to get to this right here, right?
Yeah.
And it can take some practice. Now the fingers, there are ways that you should be stretching your fingers. That's challenging too for hypermobility, because many of us is like a whole thing. But like even just doing little tiny things that we just don't even think that we should do because we're so nervous about hyperextending, which can be challenging. Or you can take a ball and roll it on the bottom of your hand. I am so incredibly weak. But my daughter has the most amazing upper body strength. I don't want to say I never have, and I can't. It is an incredible challenge for me to gain that kind of upper body strength to do a pull-up. I don't even know that I've ever done it. But what I have learned is that we're like hanging in our shoulder joints versus like this. And then like, if you're hanging like this and you're kind of hanging in your joints, you're never going to really be able to pull yourself up. But if you learn how to kind of stabilize, just by this for a while, it takes a long time just to get strength here. Then you can start slowly learning how to pull up appropriately and engage the right muscles. And Halen is amazing. She would scale, what are those things, the tetherball things in preschool? Like she would go way over the boys and all the way up. And I never had that. That and running was always still is just really challenging. But I really believe in all these little things that we were talking about, these little tiny biomechanical changes in how we move all day long, or just our proprioception, our awareness can make huge differences. If people are interested, we can just do specifically just like an upper body or a lower body type of class. One of the best stretches, and for those that are interested, I'm not suggesting that you do this with me. I've had to learn a safe way to do this and appreciate this, because it was a movement and a stretch that I arguably never would have ever done or thought was okay for hypermobility. With that being said, I don't know if it's safe for everybody, but biomechanically, once I learned the reason for it and the need, I do it all the time now, and I incorporate it a lot in my yoga classes. So if you're on quadruped, you can actually do this modified, once you know how to do it, seated too. You take rotate, and you put your arms like this. I always thought that was so bad. And I watch this. So I'm letting my belly hang. I'm not holding in like this. I'm letting my belly hang. I'm letting it go. Letting my head hang. Releasing the fascia and the connective tissue behind my neck. How many times does anybody ever say, release your belly, let your neck hang, versus tuck your core, hold your core, tuck your pelvis? I want you to untuck your pelvis, let your belly release, let your neck release, and then I just want you to slowly go back. Gently. It can be really intense if you're doing it, and then come back up and then go back. Oh my gosh, that stretch in the forearms is again amazing. Here's another one. If you're on quadruped, just learning how to place your hands when you're on quadruped, or in general, your hands should be as dexterous as your toes and your feet, right? But a lot of times we don't use it that way. We have braces, we are on the computer. So all these intrinsic muscles in the bottoms of our palms and hands, they need love, they need stretching too. And I say stretching because I know stretching has been deemed bad, but you know what? Our muscles were meant to stretch and contract naturally within a normal range of motion in order to help us move and live optimally. So I don't think stretching is bad in terms of the context that we use it. And that's what I always say to people. What context are we using it in? Because it makes people scared to stretch. But if you take your hands like this, like we were doing the open of palms. So imagine if we were on quadruped, not giving any alignment points for your shoulders. Your hands should be able to spread like this, and your middle finger and your thumb should be like an L. Now, it might be easier sitting up like this, but in quadruped, it can be super hard. Our thumbs go like this. It can be really uncomfortable. And that's where you can really also feel the tension in our bottoms of our hands. So just being mindful of it, and just, working on it slowly, little by little, as you're comfortable, and even just being aware of it, that if you're in quadruped and saying, hey, is my thumb like this? Maybe trying to just stretch it out a little bit and try to make more of that L shape with your hands, little by little, as your tissues and your muscles can support you safely to do so, because it's not just about muscle strength, it's also about tissue strength. And I know that we are told that our tissues are unstable and all these things. And yes, there might be inherent issues or inflammation that cause or aggravate it. However, in order for us to stand and walk daily or do anything, it's not just our muscles, it's our tissues. And if our tissues have also not adapted to the way that we move, or the loads, or the change in the loads of what we're doing, even if we're gaining muscle strength, that's where a lot of injuries happen. Hence ACL, rupture of the Achilles tendon. What happens is a lot of times they might gain muscle strength faster than the tissues have gained the ability and the capacity to handle the load. And I never appreciated that more than I have in the last, the 3 years I went through the biomechanics, and I still couldn't fully verbalize it the way that I should, but to understand that it's not just muscle strength. And I say a lot that in hypermobility, our muscles do the work, our connective tissues do not, and that's true. But that does not mean that there are not things that we can do daily or when we're moving to be more aware of the loads that we are asking our tissues to handle, even if we're gaining muscle strength, and being mindful of how to gently help them accommodate to the new loads or something that maybe they haven't been doing in order to help us move better. A good example is your feet. I never was barefoot, and I thought I was doing the right thing. And I'm not telling everybody to go barefoot, because you can't just go barefoot if you haven't been. But I lost all intrinsic muscles in the bottom of my feet. I couldn't even stand in the shower. And I went to go see this PT that said that he knew hypermobility, and I totally didn't think that he understood any of this, any of the connection. And I was like, no, I don't have anybody to refer people to. I've never met anybody. And you know what? He schooled me. He not only knew it, he was hypermobile, and he said, Kendra, I couldn't balance or do a lunge. I was probably in really good shape, but if I took off my shoes, and I didn't even have insoles, I couldn't even stand. It was embarrassing and learning. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is why I can't stand in the shower. I was like standing on skeleton. I was doing bar workouts and yoga even in my shoes, because I thought and felt more stable, because that's what I had learned and kind of conditioned myself over time. And I didn't realize what it was actually doing on the back end. So a lot of times things that we think are helping us can actually hurt us in the long run. And that doesn't mean ditch all that stuff that's helping you, because you can't. It's a very gradual, and with your doctor's recommendation, and nothing I say is medical advice, but just being aware of the things that sometimes we think are helping us may be also impacting us in other ways we don't know. And if you lose the intrinsic muscles on the bottom of your feet, it's not just standing in the shower that becomes a problem. It becomes a whole problem in terms of anything with our lower body chain, squatting, using our glutes, as we need to when we're walking, all sorts of things. Not to mention that most shoes have a platform, even sneakers, like they just have this, this platform, even like a fourth of an inch, and that pitch forward constantly over time, it basically teaches your body that you're falling forward versus back over your heels. And guess what you learn to do? We all learn to walk with our quads, and we lose our glutes and our hips and our hamstrings and pelvic instability. And now all of a sudden we can't even calf stretch or do a squat without modification, because we're so contracted on the back side of our body and so weak from just something like our shoes that we are wearing and the platform that we don't even realize what that's doing over time, even men's shoes, kids' shoes. We think what that does, but it's a lifetime of what happens, and we have problems later, but it's gradual, and yes, those inserts and the supports are needed at times, and in order for you to move and move better, but also recognizing how I don't wear high heels anymore. I can't even wear them. I hate them. Sometimes I put them in for pictures, and I love wedges, but they look good, but I don't wear them anymore because it totally basically tells your calf muscles I never have to stretch. I never have to learn how to, go down or have to extend the foot or do a calf stretch. And that movement in your ankle, to be able to do that and to dorsiflex your foot is critical for walking, gait, being able to squat appropriately. So if you're constantly like this and you can't put your heel down, which a lot of us can't because we're super tight and it takes time, but it's basically because we've just taught our bodies to adapt that way, and not all adaptations are great. And sometimes they can really make big impacts in things that we don't even really understand, like our backs or our necks or the brachial plexitis in my shoulder. So I did the certification for restorative exercise under Katie Bowman of Nutritious Movement. She's a biomechanist that's written books like Move Your DNA, Movement Matters. I'll tell you, those books there changed my life. And I was already doing her certification because I felt that it was the link between the deconditioning spiral and a lot that we deal with and what we were not doing in terms of helping ourselves. Like we were going to exercise or PT, and people, even in POTS and dysautonomia, people weren't progressing. And I don't, there's no science, I would love to do research, but what I realize is that the way that we move all day long, or what we're not doing, even sometimes we can't, is really impacting us, in ways that we don't really understand. And doing something like a simple calf stretch or heel pumps before you stand up, or working on just how you get up and down from seated off the bed and up, is just, if that's what you can do, it's great. Hone that, own it, then move on. And while I don't teach other types of, I do yoga and restorative exercise, that's what I'm certified in. I do love all types of movement and exercise. And I love what Katie Bowman calls junk exercise, because actually exercise came out of our humans' need of what we weren't doing all day long. We weren't going and foraging for our food and lifting things and climbing. So we, started exercising. 1 hour a day doesn't negate sitting all day long, right? And then we have all these chronic illnesses that we have to deal with. And then we become allergic to exercise, and we have real issues, and it's real concerns, and it's really scary. And movement is so good for us, and how to move safely, and also learning how to just calm our nervous system, to trust our bodies little by little is really important. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining.